So this is the Mermaid spiral stretch. It's a front body sacrum spiral stretch, sort of a hip flexor concentration in 3 levels, okay? So three degrees of difficulty. First, we're gonna just organize the Mermaid itself, because again, this is the byproduct of a weight shift that's causing this spiral. So I first want you to find the feet a little wider than shoulder width, and just finding, I'd say, somewhere around a 90-degree bend in the knees. We're going to have, first we soften the sternum, we soften the butt, we scoop in pelvic floor. So we're sort of in that balanced introversion, finding that hoop, right? We're gonna have, as the knees start to just fall a few inches each direction, you'll notice you find yourself a little heavier on your right seat. As they fall over to the left, you'll find yourself a little heavier on the left seat. Eventually, when they fall over all the way toward the ground, you're actually going to find yourself on that bony nub of the hip again, that greater trochanter that we used in the 90-90 stretch. As we tuck that tail, soften the sternum, scoop in pelvic floor, it's going to float the knees. They fall to the other direction. We come onto left seat, onto left greater trochanter, and we roll through, trying to maintain that tuck of our tail to keep the spine and the pelvis and sort of your hip sockets organized and safe. I tend to dislocate very easily, so having that opposition of a little tuck of the tail, little scoop of pelvic floor helps my femurs, my hips, to really track properly the head of the femur in the socket of my hip. So just finding this motion, and when we start to really let it move, we tuck in between. You'll notice your feet sort of float forward on the ground. This is actually a locomotive spiral stretch when performed properly. The body will sort of, when it's resonant, it will start to push you forward in this direction, wherever your sternum is facing. So now to add the Mermaid stretch to it, we start to fall onto that side. We dorsiflex in both feet. You're going to use this back hand, your right hand, to help push you onto that left knee. We tuck our tail, we soften our sternum, and we spiral back, reaching the arm up and over toward that back hand. And then exhaling as we help ourselves sit down. This is where I really have to maintain a soft tail, a little scoop of pelvic floor to track my hips properly. Soft sternum as I come back around. Both feet again are flexed, dorsiflexed. We find that ball of the foot. This hand helps me, that left hand helps me to push onto that right knee, maintaining my tuck, softening my sternum as I come around. Feeling that deep hip flexor stretch that comes up and around the front body, and exhaling as we come back down. Let's do one more set together. Soften sternum, soften the butt, scoop in pelvic floor, knees fall to the right. We keep our tuck of our tail as the right hand helps push us onto that left knee, maintaining that tuck, softening the sternum. We come up and over. Inhale into that stretch, and exhaling. Little tuck of the tail, scoop of pelvic floor, we come back and through. Knees fall to the left, maintaining our tuck, and we come up and through to the other side. Good. So now for level 2, starting to the right direction. So with level 2, what we're gonna do is we maintain that same introversion. I'm rolled back in the pelvis, I'm softened in sternum, bucket handles wide, arms forward. That gives us our sort of fascial sling that we're hanging in that's balanced. To support, really to support so the hip flexors don't have to do all of the work for us to remain upright, okay? So as we start to fall to the right with the knees, we're gonna have the same flexed foot. Instead of this left knee coming down on the ground, we're gonna let it stay off the ground as that right hand helps push us up. We maintain our tuck, soften the sternum, up and over, really grounding down, try to ground down through the head of that fourth toe, that head of that fourth metatarsal in the left foot to give you the opposition for a nice deep connected hip flexor stretch. And exhaling, pelvic floor scoops in. We keep that long tail, soft sternum as we come around and through. Finding those flexed feet, left hand helps push us forward now onto that left leg, pushing down and back into that right ball of foot. We tuck the tail under, we soften the sternum, we spiral up and around, really maintaining that deep tuck of the tail and exhaling as we come back. Let's do one more set together as the knees start to fall to the right. Right hand helps push us up onto that left ball of foot. Long stretch up and over, soften the sternum, spiral back toward that right hand, and then we come back home. Last time, we spiral through. We push up, really grounding back through that right leg, and exhaling as we come back home. Now for the most advanced version, both knees will come up off the ground. Be very careful with this. Make sure that you're softening your sternum the entire time and that the pelvic floor is pulling in, just to make sure that everything tracks properly, okay? So as the knees start to fall, we find both balls of the feet. The hand helps push us into a high bridge, tucking the tail, coming up and over, and exhaling as we come back down and home. Knees fall, back hand helps support as we push onto the ball of the foot, really trying to drop down into that right ball of the foot, tucking the tail down through that fourth toe line. That's what gives me that deep hip flexor connection. And coming back down. Another set, we'll come through. You can lengthen the right leg as much as you want here, but really making it about the connection through that left foot. And exhaling as we come back down and through. Last time to the other side. Grounding down through that right fourth toe line, keeping that tuck of the tail, spiraling the sternum back, looking to the hand behind you, and exhaling as we come back home. In order to integrate that, again, we're just gonna walk a little bit on the butt. You can come up to standing, walk that around, and you'll just notice that you sort of feel a little longer and stronger in the fronts of your hips. And that is the Mermaid in 3 levels.